Who would have guessed that it is necessary again to film the intro and the outro on my bed? Yay! I already filmed both of it on my new camera and had to find out while editing that the sound quality was so annoying. I will insert a little bit of the footage now, just for your ears to be tortured. So, on to today's video. It was the time of the month again when I stay with my mom for a week to do the stuff she isn't able to do anymore. When I'm with her, she has a flat with 2 rooms and she has a far more normal sleep schedule than I have. And the room she sleeps in is her living room as well, and there is the sewing machine, and the room I sleep in is a lot smaller and there is no space for anything else. So when I am awake in the middle of the night, I can do some little things, and mainly things like sewing or drawing, and the problem is I can't film there. Surprise! I made a dress, and it's basically out of another dress that is insanely ugly, but the fabric is one of the prettiest things I ever saw in my whole life. And I always wanted to make a dress out of it for it all, and now was the time. And surprisingly, I only used the collar of the original dress, so I have still plenty of fabric for other dolls. Yay! So prepare to see this fabric a lot. Yeah, and I had finished the dress. I will talk about it in the video a little bit more. And then went home and started rerouting a Cleo Denial doll. And while I was rerouting her, I already thought, yeah, with the hair color she looks a little bit like Uma from Descendants. And with what I had in mind for her hairstyle, she would look even more like her. She would look even more like her. And then I looked at the dress again and thought, this dress, it looks a little bit like something Mel would wear. And that was the moment when I embraced the possibility of making a Uma, Mel, and maybe a little bit of Evie hybrid. Most of it is Uma, the dress is a little bit Mel, and the hair could be a little bit Evie. For everyone who doesn't know Descendants, I just put up some pictures of the 3. Descendants is basically a Disney movie, or basically 3 Disney movies about the kids of the villains. So Mel is the daughter of Maleficent, Uma is the daughter of Ursula, surprise, and Evie is the daughter of the evil queen. So I do enjoy the movies, and it wasn't that big of a deal to make a doll that has at least a similar vibe. Kind of funny because Descendants kind of destroyed Ever After High, but let's not talk about it anymore. For me, it is now the time to make the doll, and for you it is time to deal with voiceover me. Have fun. One of my birthday gifts was a bunch of doll hair, and I just told my friend, order whatever you like. I may use it one day. This is the first day I use a part of it. I had this nylon hair in this wonderful dark blue shade. I think it's insanely pretty. And the more turquoise saran hair, whatever. Wasn't the best idea to mix the two because the saran hair was a bit sticky and a bit more tangled, but in the end it went well. I basically mixed them as I went, and yeah, I did a lot less of the saran hair than of the nylon, and then just, as you do, put a bit of hair into every other plug that was there. I didn't use all of them because of the lack of hair. The friend has no idea of doll customization, and I didn't told her to order enough. So, my own fault. I thought the glue was dried after 2 days. It didn't, but we will discuss this later, or maybe we won't. What I did was I wrapped the hair into some tissue paper to protect it from the MSC and sprayed her with 2 layers and then started the repaint. So, the very exciting stuff. After deciding for my color palette weapon of choice, I started with some shading. As per usual, the first steps were made in soft pastels, and it's basically just giving the plastic a little bit more life and starting to lay down colors where you want them. For example, the eyeshadow is already made in soft pastels, but I define it later with the watercolor pencils. Of course, everyone works in their own style, but I noticed that I tend to do it this way. First, basic colors down, and then the details. After a little bit of cleaning up and touching up, I started with the watercolor pencils and yeah, basically just laid down the eye shape and already some minor details, but not too much at this point. And yeah, basically it's most of it is a back and forth between watercolor and soft pastels at this point. After this first round of basic blocking of color, I then start with deepening everything a little bit more and give it a little bit, more tooth so that it pops a little bit more. At this point I still use a little bit of soft pastels, but most of the time I'm nearly done with them at this point. And I wasn't sure about the lip color from the get-go, so I first put just a layer of yellow down, and then I decided, let's make it fancy, let's make them golden. So I took out the acrylic paint and popped on a shiny, shimmery gold lipstick. And when I was satisfied with everything, a last layer of MSC was added, and then I put the pupils and the irises in. And of course, a little bit of highlights, one last layer of acrylics, and then I gave her 2 coats of MSC to seal the deal. It is a first for me to use 2 layers of MSC in the end. Normally I just go with 1 and then slap on some varnish because I think it protects it enough. I didn't see a lot of difference now, but maybe I can tell you something about it in the future. Let's do the hair. Then it was time to face the mess I made. I unwrapped her hair, try to comb it would turned out to be quite difficult because of the zaran hair, and then I cut it a little bit and tried to smooth it down with the hair dryer. And then I roughed out some segments where or that I knew I wanted to have for what came up next. As per usual, the regrets come afterwards. Because I decided to braid the whole segment that is at the side of the head, and let's face it, braiding all of this needed quite some time. I burned the ends of the hair to melt them together so that they will stay like this forever. I did some more defined segments, parting, and blow dried the hair in the direction that I wanted it to have. And after I then figured out how I want everything, I took the braids, and now comes the maybe tricky part. I took two segments, twisted each of these in the same direction, and then put them together and twisted them in the other direction. With that, the braid or the twist stays like this. Maybe for everyone who has hair, this isn't something that will change your life, but for me with no hair, this was a game changer. And then I decided to sew the part, or sew the braid, sew the twist onto the head. And this was so great. It stayed there, it was easy, it was pretty. I will sew on the hair parts from now on until eternity. Though my dolls, after they are finished, just stay in the cupboard or in their shelf, that is the word. I don't restyle them or do anything with them, so sewing the hair in place, I love it. And as a last part, it was just curling again, so straightening iron and knitting needle it was. And with that, the hairstyle was more or less finished. I put on a little bit of hairspray just to keep everything in place, and I'm so down for it. I think it is one of the first times I'm really happy with how the hair turned out. Yes, her curls in the back could have been a little bit more neat, but damn it, it's the first time the hair really turned out as I imagined it. And you know what? I would say it all comes down to sewing. Just again, sewing is great. So, enough of this. Let's put on some eyelashes and go on with putting the body into the dress. Going through the box of doll clothes I have, I found this pantyhose from Raven Queen. I put her into it, then put her pants on top of it. Noticed that the pantyhose was ripped at the feet, sewed this shut and put the shoes on. And now it is time for the dress. And remember, I love the fabric of it. And though I already told you that I love sewing so much, I sewed her into her dress again. Because it is the same as with the hair. I don't intend to change anything. Because it was too much work. Especially this dress is sewn completely by hand, and it was tricky because there is a bunch of fabric in the back. But oh my gosh, I love this color shifting fabric. I think it is so pretty. Yeah, I'm a little bit weird, I know, but who cares? So I sewed everything shut, and then I decided she needs a little bit more. So I took out a cat eye glass stone gem thing, and from a nail design kit, kind of frame, golden thing. Put the golden frame thing first on the part around the neck, the collar, the what, I don't know. First I glued that in place, then the cat eye glass part on top of it, and then I stitched some golden chains onto the purple part of her top. And yeah, I thought I was done at this point, but last minute I decided to look for something for her corset part, and I found something that is normally used for these little angel charms. And yeah, basically the wings. I sewed them on, then it was time to give her her hat. And she was done. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy with her. Yeah, on to my little outro. I still think, or I think even more now that I have her in my hand, that she has quite the vibe of Uma. I do like her quite a lot. I totally love the dress, and yeah, nature was onto something when it decided for me to be a boy, because I would totally wear this if I were a girl. So, we are saved. I hope you enjoyed the video. There will be a second one with the dress already made and no footage of it, so I'm sorry in advance. But I still want to show you the rest. So, I hope you have a nice time, and we will see us in another video. Bye.